Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today, I'm going to be looking at all the Senate polls for the 2024 race and basically looking at the latest poll in every single state to determine what the electoral map is going to look like for the Senate map. Now, before we get started with the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, make sure to follow the Twitter, and join the Discord in the description down below. And so the first state I'm actually going to be looking at is the state of Washington. Usually I do these in alphabetical order, but since we kind of have some states missing on here, there's, whenever I click on this, like when I've tried recording this before, I would keep going down and then it would give me like the wrong cycle and I would kind of mess up. So I'm going to just be going from west to east pretty much with this. And so the first state's going to be Washington. The latest poll actually has Cantwell only up by 8 points. So that puts the state in the likely Democratic column. When we go to the next state, which is California, where Garvey is the Republican nominee, even though he seems to be a pretty good candidate, it seems like Schiff in the latest poll has quite a big lead over his Republican rival and is very easily going to win that race. The next race is Hawaii, which doesn't actually have a poll out of there, but based on my estimations, more than likely it's probably going to go safe Democrat. If we go to the state of Nevada, we'll see that the latest poll, from literally just yesterday, actually, more than likely yesterday or today, actually has risen up by 8 points. It actually puts the race at a likely margin according to the latest poll. If we go to Arizona, we can see that Arizona, Kari Lake is the one that's running there. And Gallego in the latest Emerson College poll is only up 2 percentage points, which is down from the last poll, which had him up by 5, I believe. That was the last one. Yeah, so his lead has shrunken a little bit, even though, it is a different, polling group. However, the Emerson College poll, I guess this is a poll without leaners, and this is a poll without leaners. Like this is with leaners, without leaners. So it's kind of unfair to compare those, but it seems like Gallego has actually expanded his lead from the last Emerson College poll, which is not a good sign. But nonetheless, we're going to keep going here. It seems like Utah, there's only primary, results, or at least polls for right now. I'm going to put that in the safe column just because that's more than likely where it's going to end up going. Wyoming, I believe, does not have any new polling data out of this year. However, I do expect that to be a safe state. If we look at Montana, which is where Tim Sheehy is going after incumbent John Tester, who's been there for quite a while. And if we go ahead and look at it, Sheehy in the latest poll is actually up by 3, and it is from the end of March. So it is the latest poll out of the state there, and Sheehy's up by a somewhat decent margin compared to the previous polling, and so he's doing fairly well there. And right now he's up 3 points there. If we go to New Mexico, we will see that there is no new polling data out of here, but based on previous characterizations, I'm going to say that the state more than likely is a safe state just because of the fact that New Mexico Democrats on the Senate level and the House level tend to do a little bit better than the federal level as a whole. So I'm going to put that there. North Dakota is the next state on here, and if I can find it, all right, there it is, and we go to 2024. Kramer's up by 26 points. That puts the state in the safe Republican column. Now, what's interesting about Nebraska is that I'm going to assume that the special election goes red. However, if we actually look at Nebraska, what's interesting is that there is one poll with the independent candidate leading the Republican candidate, and for the sake of the video, I am going to have to put this as lean Democrat, just because a lot of independents, tend to caucus with Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Angus King, from Vermont and Maine respectively. And so because of that, I am going to actually lean this Democratic. Once we get new polling data out of here, I will definitely update this, but it seems like the independent candidate is currently leading the Republican as of right now in that race, which kind of throws off the math for Republicans on the Senate map. If you go to Texas, you'll see that Cruz is easily leading in the latest poll from early April by 5 points. He's expected to win re-election there. Minnesota is interesting because, Amy Klobuchar is a pretty, big electoral juggernaut in the state. And right now, the current poll has hit her up by 17 points. So that would be a safe margin in the Democratic column. If we go to Missouri, you will see that the latest poll has Hawley up by 14. That puts the state in the safe Republican column. Mississippi, I believe, does not have any new polling data, but based out of my assumption, I'd say it probably does go safe. Tennessee is the next state on here. And if we look at 2024, the latest poll has Blackburn up against Johnson by 17 points, and Johnson seems to be the favorite in the Democratic primary. So we're going to leave this in the safe Republican column. If we go to Indiana, what's actually interesting about Indiana is that the Republican is actually leading by only 10 points there. Banks against McRae, both of their percentages are low. There's a lot of undecideds there, but that still puts the state in the safe Republican column. And if we go to West Virginia, Justice, is favored to win the Republican nomination, and Manchin is retiring from his seat. Even then, Justice still would have been winning pretty easily, but I suspect that Justice it automatically wins that seat no matter what. And if we go to the state of Florida, we will see that Rick Scott's polling pretty decent, actually, compared to even previous polling. But this guy always has really close election races, and now he's leading by quite a bit compared to February. This was a Democratic leading pollster, so it is going to have the race a little bit closer. However, there is a FAU poll, which is a university from Florida, which is where the Senate race is taking place, and Scott's leading by 17. So based on the latest poll, it is going to be safe a Republican. And if we go to the state of Virginia, we will see that the latest poll actually has Youngkin up by 5, even though Youngkin's not going to run for that seat. He's more than likely going to end up running for the will probably just be stepping down from governor, since they are term limited, and probably might run again. It depends. But Hung Kao is going to be the more likely nominee. I expect the polling for that race to be a little bit closer than this. If we go to Ohio, the latest poll out of here actually has Moreno up 11 points against Moreno. I clicked that by accident, but this latest poll has Brown up 11 points on Moreno. And so that actually puts Ohio in the safe Democratic column for this video. I hope they do new polling out of there, because I definitely don't expect this race to be going a Democrat. And even if it does, I don't expect it to go Democrat by that much. And I really highly doubt it's going to go Democratic this cycle. If we go to the state of Vermont, there is more than likely probably new polling data. There is none, but Vermont seems to be a safe Democratic state with Bernie Sanders there. If we look at the state of Maine, there's more than likely no new polling data, but I expect Angus King to hold on there. Massachusetts, let's look at the cycle here. We actually have a poll where Warren's up by 23 points, which is similar to her victory from 2018, and the Republicans are still kind of deciding who their nominee is going to be, and they're very, very undecided so far. If we go to the next state, which is going to be Rhode Island, I don't know if there is new polling data out of here. We will see. It seems like there isn't any new polling data, but for the sake of the video, we're going to put this as safe Democrat. Connecticut, more than likely, probably doesn't have any new polling data either, so we are going to put this in the safe Democratic column. New Jersey is a very interesting race, because the incumbent is probably going to run as a third party, and Glassnier is the favorite to win the Republican primary, according to this poll as of right now. And so based out of this, with Bob Menendez running, either with Bob Menendez running or not, it seems like the Democrat is doing only a single point victory in the state of New Jersey, which could be a problem, because if Republicans get overestimated on election day, that could definitely be an issue there as time goes on. If we go to Delaware, more than likely there's not going to be any new polling data for the general, only a Democratic primary, but we are going to leave that in the safe Democratic column. And Maryland is interesting, because Larry Hogan, the former governor, is actually running here, and Trone seems to be the favorite to win the Democratic primary, and Hogan's up on that candidate by 13, so that actually makes that seat go Republican. And basically on this map, you're basically canceling out Ohio and Maryland, so it really doesn't make that much of a difference. The only state that's not really canceling out is Nebraska. That's the only state that's really throwing off the math. But Ohio and Maryland basically cancel each other out in this polling video. New York is interesting, because it seems like that race is probably going to be above a 10-point victory. That Democratic senator tends to win by a decent amount. If we look at the latest polling, we will see that I believe there's no new polling data out of 2024, but that incumbent's probably going to do pretty decent as of right now. And of the last three Rust Belt states, if we go to Wisconsin, where Eric Hovde is facing incumbent Tammy Baldwin, we'll actually look at new polling data. Baldwin in the latest poll, literally from yesterday, is actually up by 4 points. So that puts her in the lean Democratic column in this seat. If we go to the state of Michigan, we'll actually see it's voting to the right of Wisconsin in this scenario. This is an open seat, so that kind of explains it. But Slotkin is up 2 points there. And if we go to Pennsylvania, we will see that more than likely Bob Casey is leading by quite a bit. Actually, he's only leading by 4 points. That's pretty interesting. He's only leading by a lean margin there. So basically that puts Republicans at 100, basically at 51 Senate seats to Democrats 49. So even a scenario where they're basically losing Nebraska, theoretically losing Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, which they possibly would lose either way, they're still poised to win these. And I don't think either of those are going to go Democratic at all. I really don't think they are. So that puts Republicans at 53 Senate seats more than likely. But for the sake of the video, they are at 51 seats to Democrats 41. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to go ahead and follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And I will see you guys very, very soon.